with telehealth, you can generate lots of activity that may not solve the problem. And this particular practice is an OBGYN problem. So all of a sudden, you've got these inbound requests for telehealth. It really doesn't help the patient at the level that they need. It creates problems for the doctor. So it's kind of like, transactions on top of what you're going to have to do anyway, is the way I'm reading the question. So how do you think about that, Steve, in terms of, because, I mean, you and I both know the availability of information, sometime like chasing mercury, it's like, and, when I was a kid, I don't know how my parents let me do this. I actually used to play with mercury. I'd break thermometers and try to go after it. So I think I would have been a lot smarter if I hadn't done that. But
I, I can't imagine that. I can't even imagine what you would have been like without the mercury exposure. Um, no, listen. I trained at Emory for undergrad med school and Hopkins. I did my residency. I was on the faculty there, and one of the things I learned during that time is something that I think most of the world doesn't really know, and I believe it's true, is that most diagnoses in healthcare are made from the history. It's not the laying on of hands. It's not the listening to the heart or tapping on the stomach or the checking the reflexes. Don't get me wrong, that stuff's important in certain cases, but it's really excellent history taking. I mean, the best clinicians I've ever gotten exposed to, the best clinicians you read about are the ones who are just awesome at history taking. And
mm-hmm.
so I believe, while that's a legitimate concern, that we just need to keep iterating, and we'll get better and better at how we use these technologies. It was to your point, John, earlier about we're going to strike the right balance between virtual and in person, brick and mortar and virtual. I think there's a lot that can be done well. You're absolutely right. That's a risk. And in fact, a lot of the payers, if they have to pay the same fee to providers for a televisit that they do for an in-person, they're absolutely concerned that certain providers and patients will abuse it.
Mm-hmm.
But there are ways to keep that in check.